Chris Stirewalt wanted to talk about some of that, and so did Howie Kurtz, Fox News digital politics editor and our host of Media Buzz. And Guy Benson wanted to come along for the party. He's the editor of townhall.com and a Fox News contributor. OMG. I'll just give it to you like that, Chris Stirewalt. OMG. Secret love child, secret visits to Walter Reed, or denied visits for some heart valve leak that has never been proven. $916 billion loss, hasn't paid taxes in 18 years, totally legal. We're supposed to be freaking out over it. And the one has sex with the Apprentice staffers and says bad things in the AG. I mean, what?
I like unproven. It is also unproven whether or not Hillary Clinton is actually a lizard in a human suit. That has never been proven or disproven. Just let's face facts, America. No one has disproven that yet. So it's October. We expect a lot of hot garbage in October. We do expect that. This year feels different. And the reason that this year feels different is that both the candidates and the press are treating this as not just an election, but an apocalypse. That the outcome of this election will write the book for the history of humankind and all of America forever. And people are freaking the freak out. And that's how it goes.
Howie, listen, we shared some of the stories that the sort of right-wing media is doing on Hillary, but the vast majority of stories that were out today and over the weekend and over the past couple of weeks have been about Trump, hit pieces on Trump. Now, listen, that doesn't make them untrue, but they're hit pieces, and they are trying so hard. These same media organizations, many of whom could not give him enough favorable coverage during the GOP primary, are now like, what have we done? We're sorry. Let's go find the Apprentice contestants. More.
Well, they are throwing a lot of rocks, and it's turned into an avalanche. And look, just yesterday, Hillary Clinton's press secretary, Brian Fallon, told me the media are holding Donald Trump accountable, which means what they believe is that the press is making their case for them. Now, among these rocks and pebbles and boulders, you have legitimate stories like the New York Times tax story, although it's not a boulder because perfectly legal deduction for him to take. And then you have things like, where Donald Trump, as we've talked about, fuels the fire by talking about and tweeting about Miss Universe. But then you have the salacious stuff, like these people at The Apprentice who said he engaged in locker room talk. You know, it doesn't look good. It's like every interview he's ever done with Howard Stern, except he was an entertainer then. And then finally, Megyn, you have stories that are just unfair or totally out of context. I
don't know. You tell me whether the stuff with The Apprentice was, it can be excused, Guy, as he was an entertainer then. Because the thing is, these people were seeking a professional position with the Trump organization. This is the reason why I included a line about what he said to one Celebrity Apprentice contestant in my debate question in August of 15. It wasn't just an entertainment show. It was also a show in which these young women in particular were seeking professional opportunities.
Yeah, although it's also reality television and Donald Trump. It'd be like someone showing up on The Bachelor and being like, oh my gosh, there are people drinking alcohol and having sex on this show. I can't believe it.
But do you think these women were signing up to be told that their boobs weren't big enough?
No, I don't think so, but I'm also, of course, I'm not going to defend him on that, but does it move a single vote, Megyn, at this point? We've heard it, starting really with your question in that debate. Ever since then, we know a barrage of ads from Hillary Clinton, all the nasty things he said about women. This is maybe just one more AP investigation into what he said around, basically the locker room or the water cooler.
And why didn't they do it back in August of 15? I mean, it was highlighted in a debate question that was seen around the world. Where was the AP in August or September of 15? You tell me, Stirewalt, why it's not until October 30, whatever it was, days before the election, that they come out with it.
Right, and Jeb Bush is somewhere making himself a malted milkshake and wondering the same thing. And so is Marco Rubio.
Wait.
And so are
Can I just interrupt you to prove your point? We have Ted Cruz, who took a moment from crying in the soup to say this. Actually, it was March 6th. Watch.
Listen, frankly, one of the reasons the media wants Donald to be the nominee is because the media knows Donald can't win the general, that Hillary would wallop him. And all of the attacks on Donald that the media is not talking about now, you better believe come September, October, November, if he were the nominee, every day on the nightly news would be taking Donald apart. I can't tell you how many media outlets I hear, have this great expose on Donald, on different aspects of his business dealings or his past, but they said, you know what? We're going to hold it to June or July. We're not going to run it now.
You're saying reporters have told you that?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, whether or not they planned it. I'm sure that is the single tear that rolled down Ted Cruz's face as he wrote the Facebook post in saying that internet regulation was reason enough for him to back Donald Trump or whatever. I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure times are sad. But the reality here is that they rode the wave. The press rode the wave of Donald Trump, clicks and coverage and celebrity, and did all of this stuff. And then now, and I think Cruz is very right about this, now it's serious. Now it's October. Now this is a person who many in the press and many in the mainstream say is totally unacceptable, so they're just now starting to unload on him, and it's not going to end until the election.
Howie, what do you make of the charges that the New York Times is being hypocritical because they refuse to produce or to print these emails relating to that undermined sort of the left's argument on climate change because they said to do so would be illegal because they were illegally obtained, but they had no problem doing it to Trump?
I'm less concerned about that because the Times did do a front-page story about those emails, even though they didn't print the emails. I see the greater hypocrisy as being the New York Times company didn't pay any taxes in 2014.
Well, there's a question about
Donald Trump didn't, taking a legitimate deduction.
There's a question about that. Sometimes reporters are pushing back on that tonight, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it seems to me that, you have the sheer volume of stuff being thrown at Donald Trump, some of it legitimate, some of it not, some of it self-inflicted wounds, and it's just complete imbalance with the scrutiny being given to Hillary Clinton. And then you also have the cultural aspect here, Megyn. So it's not just news organizations, but it's celebrities, most of the late-night comics, Kimmel, Samantha Bee, John Oliver, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, turning serious to attack Donald Trump, Jennifer Lawrence saying it'll be the end of the world if he wins the election. So there's an effort here, I think, and some of it's intentional and some not, to kind of paint him as being outside the bounds of acceptability.
Well,
and that
that's the
happens to
thing.
match
I mean, guys,
the Clinton
all
argument.
those people were always, I mean, Jon Stewart was never going to vote for Mitt Romney, right, back when he was doing the late-night stuff. So that's not unusual to have the late-night folks be against the Republican nominee. What's unusual here is that there's a lot of fodder with respect to Trump. And in his defense, he has spent his lifetime not as a politician watching every word he says. I mean, there's a lot of fodder because he's a fodder-producing machine. He's an unusual character, and he's a dynamic character, and a lot of that stuff on Howard Stern and so on was done with the intention of being a provocateur.
You could call him a tremendous fodder factory, in fact, Megyn. But yeah, and some of it you have to separate, and part of our job is to separate what's real and what's legitimate to talk about and what's silly season. There was one thing making the rounds today. I think Joe Biden attacked Donald Trump for supposedly demeaning veterans with PTSD, and Trump did nothing of the sort. They latched onto one word and turned it into a fake controversy. So it's kitchen sink time.
That's right. They're suggesting that Donald Trump took a shot at veterans suffering from PTSD. Everybody on our team looked at the tape. If you watch the soundbite in context, it doesn't appear at all that he's doing that at all.
Exactly.
In fact, he means to be paying a compliment to the strength of those in the room. In any event, there's so much to talk about. We barely scratched the surface. Great to see you all.
Thanks, Megyn.
Hot garbage. That'll be the theme of this evening's program is hot garbage. So grab a fork, pull on up. We serve it tasty on the Kelly File.